with me in studio right now, Houston Texans beat reporter for ESPN, DJ Bien Amay. After the Texans took down the Tampa Bay Bucks 39-37 on Sunday, 470 passing yards, 5 touchdowns by CJ Stroud. He's good, huh?
Yeah, I would say so. Do you think he's good? Do you think he's good?
I think he's good. Do you think he's good?
I feel like it's a hot take to say, he's not good.
Do we want to get into the hot takes already?
Oh, well, maybe later, but...
Do you think he's a mother-sucking beast, like Emmanuel Acho said?
Well...
Mother-sucking.
Emmanuel Acho just be saying stuff sometimes.
He does, but listen, we're all, at one point in our lives, we're all mother-suckers.
Yeah.
We all have to be, for survival.
I don't even know what that means, but...
I don't either. I think he was trying to say that, hey, I swear, but I don't swear on this platform because I work for...
Nah, he actually doesn't. I heard him on a podcast that's I want to say it might have been last year or earlier this year. But
you survived. Damn.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was a good podcast. They were grilling him, but he said he doesn't curse.
Okay. Well, let's talk about somebody else with a hot take on CJ Stroud. Dan Orlovsky. Stroud's tape is better than the numbers. He is absolutely in the MVP conversation after this weekend.
I just want to know, how did we get here? Like
one game, baby.
It's so LA. I was actually talking to my friend Chancellor for
Chancellor Johnson, KPRC.
I always get it wrong. Sometimes I say KRPC, KPCR.
Channel 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna start just saying Channel 2 from here on out.
There you go.
But we're actually discussing that discussion about him being in the MVP conversation. And it's like, if he wasn't in the MVP conversation going into the game last week, how is he now in it because of one game?
He's not.
Yeah.
He could be after Sunday.
I don't even think he could be in after Sunday.
You don't?
No.
A win over Joe Burrow and the suddenly red-hot Cincinnati Bengals doesn't enter him into the conversation at all with the touchdown-to-interception ratio that he has.
Nope.
14-1?
Nope.
Does nothing for you.
No. Even if he would have to go out there and throw 7 touchdowns, 1 interception or what.
He does have a lot of ground to make up when it comes to the touchdown passes.
No, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if we're talking about MVP, right? It's hard to dismiss the 3-game stretch where the offense was kind of floundering.
Yeah.
Compared to because again, I think CJ Stroud is the offensive rookie of the year. No question. I think once we put the MVP discussion on top of that, that's kind of doing too much. Because in reality, he's still a rookie. And now we're setting the bar for MVP play. We're setting the bar now at MVP play. That's what we're expecting from a 22-year-old rookie quarterback who is fresh out of Ohio State.
I'm not making the argument.
I know you're not making the argument.
But I do think the 1 interception is a very impressive piece of the resume that I can understand how some people would say, well, he's not making mistakes. Even though there have been a couple of almost interceptions this season, he should probably have 4, honestly, at this point in time. There's been a couple of drops and lucky tips that haven't fallen into a defender's hand. Right. But the 1 interception, I think, brings him into this conversation for others on the outside looking in who probably, let's also be honest, when it comes to the national pundits.
Yeah, for sure.
How many games have they watched of the Houston Texans?
Yeah.
They probably would have watched after his performance against the Jaguars and Steelers back-to-back. They might have watched one of those 3 games in the middle, and that's when the offense struggled. And then I bet, guess what? They didn't watch the rest of those 3 games after they saw those struggles.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he does this, and now everyone's like, oh, we got to pay attention.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's a great point. I just, there's so much that has to happen for it to even be a legitimate discussion. Because if you're saying CJ's in the discussion for MVP, and again, I think he's offensive rookie of the year, I think he's a franchise guy. I don't think it's fair to even put those type of expectations on him, especially as a rookie. Because again, that's insane. Now you're gonna have to stack him. You got to remove the rookie label and now stack him against Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, people even Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill. Now we're are we really gonna have the debate? Is he a top 5, top 7, top 10 player of the entire NFL? And I think if you start skewing it that way, people start to expect that. And when he doesn't, say he had a 2-week stretch where he's kind of up and down, now it's it could turn into legitimate scrutiny when it's like, no, he's way ahead of schedule in his development process.
He is, but I'm just going to be annoying, and I'm going to skew it. I'm going to skew it so
Go ahead,
hard.
Go ahead, skew it.
CJ Stroud was the best player in the NFL in Week 9.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
So, what have you done for me lately? CJ Stroud, MVP of Week 9, MVP of the NFL.
He was the MVP. He was the MVP of Week 9 because without CJ Stroud, the Texans lose that game by a lot of points.
I'm going to keep on annoying you with devil's advocates that
Go ahead.
that I'm not even endorsing.
Go ahead.
Who is the MVP right now? I don't think that there's definitively one guy.
That's true, though. There isn't a definitively one guy. Like, some people say Lamar, right? But, like, if you look at just raw numbers, like, because, like, the voters, they're not gonna, I'm just honestly, like, most voters are not gonna get into the all 22 and really deep dive and all that stuff.
And it's been their defense in Baltimore that's been impressive of late with these blowouts over Detroit
right.
over the Seahawks.
Right. Like, you could make the argument like Lamar is like the second best quarterback in the NFL right now, and based off how he's playing, what he looks like on tape. But the raw numbers aren't gonna be there. He's only at 9 passing touchdowns, by the way, and 5 rushing. So he had 14 total touchdowns for the entire season. So that makes it kind of tricky to even, like, at the end of the year. Because when it comes to MVP voting, when you look at the end of the season, well, not end of the season. Well, yeah, end of the season, and we look years after, when whoever wins the MVP, those numbers have to look kind of insane-ish, right? Like, when you go on Pro Football Reference and you see their stats, there better be a number that's bold, which means they led the league in something, right? So Lamar's case is going to be a little tricky in that capacity. I still think he's a top 2, top 3 quarterback. Jalen Hurts is on a heater lately, where he's been a touchdown machine and been putting him a lot of good passing stats.
And they're winning, which is the most important thing on top of the numbers. Right.
Mahomes, his overall raw numbers are but not but they're not the standard that we were accustomed to with Mahomes, but
Chiefs beat your Dolphins.
Yes, they
with
did.
their defense on Sunday.
Exactly, right? Like, he threw for under 200 yards and they still got the win because the defense has been playing at a top 3 level, right? But his team's winning, and he has, like, I think he has a passer rating of like 96. He's like top 3 in all passing categories. Then you have Tua, who can't beat the good teams, but he still leads the league in passer rating, passing yards, and pass touchdowns.
Yeah,
so it's like, well, you're a Patriots fan. Your quarterback is not Mac Jones.
It's going to be Caleb Williams, baby.
McCorkle Jones. Yeah.
I'm already locking it up.
Okay.
We're going to get a guy who cried after they lost on Saturday.
Daniel Jones just tore his ACL, and Tyrod Taylor's ribs are in shambles. And you have Tommy DeVito. He's starting.
Syracuse legend.
They'll get the number 1 pick. But, so, like, then you want to throw Tyreek Hill in there. You want to possibly throw CMC. So, like,
true, but the wide receiver and a running back, they're never going to get it again. I feel like
I agree.
That point.
I agree. I don't think a running back has to go. Maybe a running back, but a receiver. It's virtually impossible.
It's a shame. I think receivers should have been introduced to at least the conversation for a couple of MVPs. There was a couple of years ago where DeAndre Hopkins was putting up insane numbers, and I said, "Hey,
this station loved DeAndre Hopkins,
dude. He was
great,
awesome when he was here.
But MVP,
yeah."
Oh,
I said not like a serious argument for him as MVP, but I thought to myself, we never talk about wide receivers as MVPs.
The station loves DeAndre.
What's wrong with loving DeAndre Hopkins?
Great receiver. But like Josh tried to tell me that he was better than Antonio Brown.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
That's a bridge too far.
That's crazy.
And DeAndre Hopkins is
as
a borderline
crazy
Hall of
as
Famer.
Antonio Brown. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great point. So that's what I'm saying. So, like, back to your point, like, the MVP, like, it's wide open right now.
It's wide open. Oh, so headline: DJ Bieneme says MVP wide open. CJ Stroud, and then we'll figure out the rest, Sean. So that's what's going to be the headline on the podcast. We'll just figure out the rest. Welcome to 2023, bitch. We got to make some headlines, baby.
Yeah.
Mother sucking beast. That's what Emmanuel Acho said. Tanner Orlovsky said MVP. Why not? DJ Bieneme MVP. ...
What's so sick is you don't even believe he's even in the top 5 for MVP.
But you do, man. Clearly, now that I've just I've made a bunch of devil's advocate arguments.
Oh my god! All right, I'll do this. If he lead them to a win next week.
If you could have the conversation next week. I agree with you there. I think we're both on the same page here. You have to have a marquee win. You have to beat someone like Joe Burrow to even be really entertained here. And He, compared to Deshaun Watson's rookie season, I did this on my live stream last night. I took a look at the numbers. Watson threw a lot of interceptions, but Watson had like 3 or 4 games where he was awesome. It was against the Patriots where he was going back and forth with Tom Brady.
And
it was
Legion
against
of Boom.
The Titans where they scored 57 points. I think he had another 4-touchdown performance. I forget who that was
against the Legion of Boom.
Well, there was that. I'm talking about there's another game before that one, before the Legion of Boom game. Like Watson had his rookie season, a lot of impressive performances, and I don't know that anyone was actually putting him into the MVP conversation.
Because they were 3-3.
Right. And Stroud's had some duds. So you can't really do the same thing with Stroud unless they have a winning record and they beat a legitimate team. So Sunday, DJ, since you started covering the team, like this is the most hype before any Texans game that you've ever covered. 100%.
Nah, I think the Colts game to end the season last year is probably more hype. And I'm dead serious. I don't even think it's even remotely close.
Well, it was draft pick talk. There was more draft pick talk, I felt like, after because of the result than there was leading up to the game.
Yeah. I mean, you had that. You had Lovie Smith possibly getting fired. You had if they win, what happens? There was way more discussions that were birthed out of that. So there was a lot of hype in the sense of, okay, if they win this game, how much does that change the trajectory of the draft for a lot of teams? Because again, like them getting to 1, if they would have 1, then maybe the Panthers don't trade up. Mm-hmm. There was like a lot of trickle effect from that game because the Bears got the number 1 pick and they traded out of it. Now they probably they're probably regretting that they traded out of it. But yeah, I mean,
it's a tricky spot when you got a quarterback like that. But I really do think that even though it's not working out great for the Arizona Cardinals, taking Kyler Murray when they had Josh Rosen was smart.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think. So to answer your question, I think Week 18 last year was probably more hyped in my eyes.
Okay, we'll see. Leading up to it, it is the Bengals, so it's not exactly the most hyped team. Though people respect them, but people don't really hype them in the same way that they maybe will hype a team like the Chiefs or the Eagles.
People don't hype the Bengals.
They don't hype the Bengals.
Are you crazy?
They don't hype the Bengals.
You're crazy.
How
they don't hype the Bengals, Sean. They don't hype the Bengals
right now.
They don't hype the Bengals.
They don't hype the Bengals.
The Bengals were on Sunday Night Football a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
that's hype. They have Joe Burrow.
They barely ever get to be on Sunday Night Football, though. Even with Joe Burrow, they've had to earn their way to that point, and
everybody has to earn their way to that point.
But I feel like the Bengals had more barriers to break down.
Are you kidding me? Point. People, when the Bengals started 1-3, people were like, they'll probably turn it around.
Because they did it last year. But last year when they did it, people were wondering whether or not Zach Taylor should be fired.
Sure, but again, like they're a pretty hyped team. Like, let's not act like they're not a hype team.
I think Joe Burrow's hype. I think the team around Joe Burrow is not hype.
They have Joe Burrow. They have Jamar Chase.
Back injury.
You have Joe Mixon, who has, he's a polarizing guy.
He's more polarizing than I think hype worthy.
Yeah.
I think he's a good player for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals get pretty hyped, bro.
T. Higgins,
like, come on. The Bengals get very hyped.
This game.
People were asking for this game to be flexed.
It should be flexed.
I think the
Jets. It's the Jets Sunday night. It's the Jets, dude. Jets Raiders. See, DJ's leaning back in his chair. Yeah. Aren't you so thankful you're away from that?
Yeah. Well, am I thankful I'm away from that?
Yes, you are.
I'm thankful I'm away from New York City. Yes.
Yeah.
Not covering the Jets is fun.
Poor Jake Asman last night, man.
Covering the Jets is fun.
He and his papa watching the Jets disappoint for the 100,000th time in a row. Wow, who would have seen that coming?
It's always hilarious to watch Jet fans.
Their optimism is so cute.
So cute.
They should just be pessimistic and burn out like Texans fans. Yeah,
they always
don't care. Nothing matters.
Like I know so many Jet fans, and I have so many Jet fans on my timeline, and it's so funny to watch. Like
this year's the year.
Them be so shocked that Zach Wilson can't play quarterback.
He's so bad.
They're always like, like it's always but it's like, he's making improvements against the New York Giants. He led them into field goal range with 24 seconds left.
Yeah,
after almost losing to Tommy DeVito.
Oh boy!
Oh my God!
They did almost lose to Tommy DeVito, by the way.
Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes, even though Zach Wilson fumbled at the end. That cost him the game.
That was funny when he plays on Sunday Night Football, and he isn't the worst quarterback in the NFL, even though he does blow the game for them.
He still blows the game, yeah.
And people were like, maybe we need to have a serious conversation about Zach Wilson. Maybe you need to be less mean about Zach Wilson. Should have been the argument, but the guy still stinks.
People will be like, maybe they're going to pick up his 5th-year option. I'm like, dude, are you insane?
No, you're not.
Are you insane?
I did see an argument of like, who would you rather have, Mac Jones or Zach Wilson? And I wanted to die slowly inside.
Mac Jones
because
easily.
It's a terrible.
Could you imagine Zach Wilson with the New England Patriots this year?
Super Bowl? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Yeah, it would be just as bad. It would be just as bad. So speaking of bad, Texans injury luck has been absolutely horrible, and Sunday was crazy. Terrible. So I'm not even sure what happened to Andrew Beck, who I saw was listed as injured at the end of that game. Kaimi Fairbairn out. So I know that they brought in a kicker, right, DJ?
Matt Amendola, who was a former Jet.
Okay. You saw John Mechie get injured. You saw Jimmy Ward get hurt. MJ Stewart got hurt right after he came in for Jimmy Ward. On the offensive line, you saw another injury. I don't even know which guy got injured. Like, it's insane. Defensive line, Hassan Ridgway's out for the year.
Yeah.
They've been through a lot of injuries, and that is where most of my skepticism lies before Sunday's game against the Cincinnati Bengals, who might be without Jamar Chase, but we just saw what Lou Anarumo and that defense did to Josh Allen. Yeah. They made his life hell.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, at one point, on Sunday, the Texans were without their starting center, their backup center, their third string center, their starting running back.
Okay.
They were without their starting safety, their backup safety, the backup to that backup safety, their number one cornerback. I mean, not number one, one of their starting cornerbacks. They obviously lost their kicker.
Yeah.
They were out there, I guess you could say, a starting wide receiver in Robert Woods. And they were without, there's one more player. Oh, and a rotational defensive tackle in Hassan Ridgway. So it's a lot of injuries, man. It's
a ton of injuries. And I mean that they've overcome any of them to this point. You would think a team like this, maybe without CJ Stroud, this is a team that is, I don't know, 2-6 or something like that. They have overcome a lot of these injuries. It's going to be very difficult for them to do it on Sunday. And obviously, we've got a couple of days between then and now. Do you think they have a legitimate chance to beat Cincinnati, or is Cincinnati, who is red hot right now? They won 4 in a row, and they've had some impressive victories. The 49ers and the Bills along the way. Are they going to wipe the floor with them? Seahawks too. You forgot? I forgot about that.
Yeah. I think they got a shot mainly because it's obviously, I don't want to use the cliche. It's the NFL. But I think they have a shot. It's just they're gonna have to, because they're not gonna be able to score a lot on the Bengals defense. Like, it can't turn into a shootout.
And if it just feels natural for the Bengals to do whatever they want offensively, given that Bryce Young had his best game of his career against the Texans and then throws 3 interceptions.
Yeah, you're right.
Baker Mayfield looked like Fran Tarkenton in that game, and that he was impossible to sack for whatever reason. Yeah. Desmond Ridder had his best game. The Texans have made a lot of quarterbacks look good this year.
Yeah, they don't travel well on the road. I think that's concerning.
That's been true to this point.
Yeah, the only quarterback they actually limited Lamar, forced him into 2 turnovers, and same with Trevor Lawrence. But since those 2 games, like, they haven't. It's been Bryce Young had his best game of the season. Obviously, Desmond Ridder had a career high, so that is a little concerning because it's like there's no in between. It's either they're great or they're bad. So, and obviously you mentioned the Baker performance. I mean, they gave up 39 points to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that I think that's probably for sure their season high. They're much better at home for the most part, minus last week. But yeah, I'm curious. I mean, actually, in all honesty, they're actually an inconsistent unit when it comes to that. Because I just thought about it, and Rod, I was giving the benefit of the doubt. Gardner Minshew and that Colts offense put up 31 on them.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So
Richardson looked good before he got hurt.
Yeah, so you just don't really know like which version you're gonna get. Like the one that should have been against Baltimore and the Jags, where they forced their quarterbacks into a turnover or 2, or you're gonna get the version that allowed Desmond Ridder to have a career high before he ended up getting benched like a few weeks later. Or Bryce Young, who got his first win, but then followed that up with 3 interceptions and a couple of pick sixes. So yeah, I mean, it depends what defense shows up on Sunday. Obviously, I gotta really dive into the schematics to see like what they would have to do, because last week they offensively, not switching the ball, they were able to push the ball down the field. Obviously, she just tried to discuss that, but break some of their tendencies, throw early on first downs when they're not known for doing that. when it's third and medium-ish, push the ball down the field, or second and medium-ish, again, push the ball down the field. Cause some even though they still at times attack over the middle of the field, they still. It wasn't necessarily like, okay, those quick in breakers at like 7-8 yards. You had the one to tank. Obviously, you got both of them was to tank where, well, the first one was outside the numbers in the end zone. The second one was a quarters beater where you ran like a double post to, again, get tank one-on-one with the cornerback with no safety help in the middle. Touchdown, obviously. Even when, Noah Brown play action, even though it that borderline of middle, but it went down as like left side of the field. But again, like they broke a lot of their tendencies that are going to have to continue to break some of their tendencies to have a legitimate shot to beat a red-hot score. I mean, obviously, the Bengals are probably like the second hottest team in the league.
They're playing well right now. He's DJ Bien-Aimé. I am Paul Gallant. It's the Paul Gallant Show, ESPN 97.5, 92.5. Catch more of DJ's work and looking at what the Bengals bring to the table on his Twitter account and at ESPN.com. Thanks, DJ.
No problem.